good people. Manoj are always good.
Best of all.
So we are like,
Yeah. Yes. Welcome to the webinar on insurance dynamics in ophthalmology, best practices and common pitfalls. We shall be the chairpersons for the day are Dr. Samar Basak, Dr. Nirmal Frederick, and Dr. Himanshu Mehta. And we shall be moderating the session. Along with me, Dr. Harikrishnan Vanadil will be moderating the session. The panelists for the day are the insurance committee members. Dr. Viral Shah is from Niyalakshi Eye Hospital, Nagpur. Dr. Dharmesh Bhuktani, he is from Ashirwad Eye Hospital and Phaco Surgery Center, Surat. Dr. Manoj Saswade is from Saswade Eye Clinic and Laser Center, Retina Clinic, Aurangabad. Dr. Madan Gopalan, he is from JB Eye Care and Retina Center, Salem. And Dr. Shweta Bal Singh, Prime Vision Super Speciality Eye Care, Ahmednagar. The speakers for the day and the topics. Recently, in the month of May, we had a insurance committee and TPA meeting with the stakeholders, insurance committee and the TPA representatives, along with the Director Health, General Insurance Corporation. And the outcome of that, we are trying to do, Dr. Nirmal Frederick will be introducing and on the topic navigating insurance challenges, an overview of AIOS insurance subcommittee initiatives. Then that will be followed by the most important topic of the day, vexing issues with Mediclaim insurance and how to handle them. What are the issues that we are facing and how to overcome them by Dr. Madan Gopalan. And then our own Dr. Harikrishnan Vanadil, he shall be speaking about ensuring legitimacy, accurate billing and insurance for refractive surgeries. That is also the order of the day. So let us get going. The first speaker of the day will be Dr. Nirmal Frederick. He shall be speaking about what we have trying to achieve through AIOS initiative in insurance and TPA community. Dr. Nirmal, please share your presentation. Dr. Nirmal Frederick is from Dr. Nirmal Eye Hospital, Chennai, and he is a NABH accreditation board assessor, and he has so many credits to his thing. He needs no further introduction. Over to you, Dr. Nirmal.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj, and it's indeed a great pleasure to be part of this team who's been doing a wonderful work under this health insurance committee. So let me come to the topic per se, AIOS initiatives, and thank you, Manoj, for inviting me, and thank the All India Ophthalmic Society office bearers, particularly the President, Secretary, and Treasurer, and the entire GC for giving us this opportunity. And so we all know there's a lot of challenges in healthcare now, and among that, of late, one of the prime challenges is the health insurance, which is a very complex problem. Previously, it was directly between the doctors and patients. Life was simple. But now with the involvement of third-party payers, the policymakers, media, judiciary, and the third-party aggregators, the system has been made really complicated. And doctors has been relegated to a corner. And the doctor-patient relationship has severely suffered. So complexity always leads to confusion. It is high time we bring certain simplicity to our processes and how we can ensure to reduce this confusion for us and for the patient. And for that, we need to understand some basics. And health insurance is basically a paying mechanism. That is not something that is contributing to the standard of care, which we all want to improve for our patients. And of course, the patients also want the standard of care to be improved. But unfortunately, there is a complexity. The government doesn't want to pay for the social group or the people who can't afford healthcare. And so there's a paying mechanism where a third-party vendor the insurance company has come in to help this. What actually came as a health has become another major challenge in accessing real healthcare to the patients. So the present scenario is health insurance have not contributed anything to the safety and value of the healthcare system. So this we have to understand in principle and see how we can address to improve the value of the healthcare system and reduce the complexity. So very often we hear that for the patients, the claims are denied, reduced, or they are made to run between pillar to post to get their due money. And what is the status for the hospitals? So if you see this is an article from the Indian Journal of Medical Sciences. Almost 91% had problem with insurance. So this number and data really calls for some soul searching and see what associations can do to address this. So these are some of the challenges. One is the reimbursement rate are low. The packages have not been revised, and this leads to financial strain for the hospitals and for the patients as well. And huge administrative burden. So we are spending at least 30 to 40% of the healthcare expenditure to the administrative setup for the insurance desk, for the documentation, for the postages, and all other arbitrary requirements. So of late, this arbitrariness has increased, and this adds to the cost. And a lot of unpaid bills. So the high deductibles and co-pays at the last stage, it actually affects our cash flow. And ICs are now limiting the services. Hari will be talking about refractive surgery, which is one of our major scope of services, which has been severely limited by the insurance norms. And this also extends to many other advanced and what they call as advanced procedure. But for us, it is site saving and reducing the morbidity of the patients. These are some of the claims by the insurance company that because of the empowerment, they have a greater choice of hospital. But unfortunately, this empowerment itself is restrictive because it is not for all hospitals. It has been selective empowerment. And what they say is the efficiency has improved because of the competition within the providers. But this efficiency has gone only in the costing aspect. And at the cost of quality, the cost has been controlled. And they say greater transparency for the patient, but unfortunately, they expect this only from the providers, but not much of transparency from the insurance companies or the third-party administrators. And obviously, no quality control. And there's a huge wastage of time and effort, particularly of the medical providers, that we spend a lot of time in documentation rather than the clinical care. So basically, insurance has now become insultants. And these are some of the difficulties. I'm sure Dr. Madan will be going through this. So how can we work together to solve the issue as providers or hospitals as a group? And how can our association help our members? So these are the two important points to be addressed today. So basically, All India Ophthalmic Society have been having this insurance committee since few years because of the health insurance landscape, which has been increasing day by day. Particularly post-COVID, the penetration has increased. And we want to improve the landscape and the professional practices within the ophthalmology. So we need to arrive at certain conclusions and agreement with all stakeholders to come up with certain professional recommendation. And this was the idea. And with that, AIOS set up the insurance and TPA committee comprising of these experts within our ophthalmology profession and AIOS members. It's a big committee of experts, about 18 of us, with ex officio, president, secretary, and treasurer. And so we discussed, and we wanted to address and take these challenges right across to the insurance companies. So we called for a meeting of the insurance companies and third-party administrators. We called for the representations to All India Ophthalmic Society. headquarters on 11th May, we had this conference or meeting. So this is the minutes. I've taken the excerpts from the minutes so that I can highlight some of the discussion points and what we presented. So I was helped by Dr. Hari Krishna and Dr. Madana Gopal in recording the minutes, and this was again approved by the GIC. So GIC, the General Insurance Council, was represented by the Director Health, Mr. Shekhar, and a host of other representatives from the insurance company. So these were some of the presentations made and the points discussed in the agenda. The first point was streamlining the empanelment process. So ophthalmology has been one of the major specialties affected because of this arbitrary empanelment process. So basically, there's a long list of people waiting for empanelment, and most of these are single specialty hospitals and one small setups who are running for empanelment. So we wanted to address this process first, and this was the first agenda. And we asked their inputs on re-evaluating and streamlining the empanelment process, and also wanted transparency and reduce the complexity in the empanelment process, and also reduce the corrupt practices due to third-party empanelment. We know that a lot of third-party people are asking for money for empanelment, and we want to address this. And also mooted the idea of group empowerment of all willing eye centers through AIOS and our state societies based on certain registration like Clinical Establishment Act and the licenses. So after the discussion, these were the actionable points. I'll just highlight the actionable points with responsibility. The GIC accepted that there is a difficulty in the empanelment process, and that will be streamlined within 3 months. This was their assurance. And we also asked AIOS to inform the members not to encourage middlemen in empanelment. This is to reduce the corrupt practices in empanelment. And state societies will be encouraged to initiate central empanelment effort. And the ICs will also provide common communication email IDs for further circulation for empanelment. And hopefully, this aspect was, I'm in touch with the GIC people. So they've also initiated certain measures as a follow-up and planning to reduce this difficult empanelment process and simplify this. One by already accredited hospitals will be directly empaneled, and those who are certified by CGHS, ECHS, or any other accreditation mechanism will be directly empaneled. And those who are not with any of this accreditation, but have the required licenses and the Rohini registration, will be asked to provide their infrastructure as well as resources in terms of manpower and the scope of services. And with the help of state societies, they will initiate this, and they have given 3 to 6 months time for this to be enabled. And so these are the proactive steps being taken to streamline the empanelment process. So hopefully we expect some improvement in this soon. The second agenda was the common challenge of pre-authorization. So you all know there are now 2-step approval, initial approval and final approval system. And this is really difficult for standard cases like cataract surgery, where the care process is hardly few hours in the hospitals. So many of our members express dissatisfaction of this, about this, and they also express the difficulty with copay and disease sublimit for cataract surgery, even if still they have packages for this, but they are asking for this sublimit and other things, and they are applying in the final approval. It's very difficult to get from the patients. So we discussed that, and JIC supported that the requirement for the necessary document that has to be collected from the hospital by the TPS rather than the hospitals to know the sublimit and the policy details, which they already have. So it's only an enabling mechanism. They need to connect all the dots and get from the patients beforehand. And also certain regulatory changes that could set deadlines. I think this has now been addressed because last month insurance IRDA came out with a circular saying that the final approval has to be given for all cases in 3 hours. And there will be a single page fact sheet which mentions the copay, sublimits, and deductibles. So this part is already has been taken into consideration by the IRDA, and hopefully they will implement this. This is what the problem. So even if IRDA gives certain dictats, the insurance companies and TPAs not adhering to that. So we have to ensure that they adhere to this recommendation from the IRDA, and so we also will be meeting IRDA to ensure that these are implemented properly. And also for cataract procedures and daycare procedures, single one-time approval with mentioning copay and disease sublimit in the initial approval itself. We are pushing through the GIC for this, and in principle, they've agreed for this. So, and this is one notification with all of us have to go through this. This is from the New India Assurance Company issued last year about the adjudication of IOL cost. And we discussed this issue also during the meeting, and also about the certain problematic practices like do not collect from patient and IC discount, all those things. And so the discussion, there was a consensus on this. For package cases, no separate invoice for the implant should be requested. So as per the input from the GIC last week, they said they have issued a certain circular to the insurance companies that not to ask for separate invoice. Again, we have to ensure that this is implemented. For outside packages or the open billing, the implant invoice will be requested. We have to provide as per the MRP. So this practice is basically as per the GST norms. So we have to abide by this, but ensure that we understand the system first. I think Hari has been battling these in the WhatsApp groups. So it's important that our members understand this requirement. And so if it is even bulk packages, a bulk purchase of the IOLs, we need to ensure that the invoice is given. And so we also had a discussion with GIC on this. So if we can give the code of the implants, so and the actual the MRP rate of that implant, so that will be taken into consideration, like what they do for the ortho and cardiac stents and implants. So since the implant is a drug, so whatever cost the hospital incurs, that has to be reimbursed. I think they are working on it. Hopefully we'll get some good news on this aspect. And so this was the recommendation and actionable point on the delayed payments and grievances that payments are not settled by the insurance companies. So this we have to take up, and I'm sure Dr. Manoj will be telling about the AIOS website to get the data from our members. So we have to, there will be a website, web page in the AIOS website where we collect the data of the grievances, genuine grievances from the hospitals on the insurance aspect, and we'll compile this. And if there is denial of claim or payment not made by the insurance company within a certain period, and it is more than 20,000, through AIOS, we'll be referring this to the General Insurance Council. So this actually will help the hospital to sort out some of the cash flow issues. And hopefully, when we bring this website, I'm sure our members will give the data so that we'll know what is the amount pending for the providers, and we can take it up through the right forums. And the third important point is the blacklisting or excluded list. And so we represented strongly about this reputation to that fair image of the hospital, and the hospitals should be given an opportunity for appeal and due legal process to be followed. They accepted this, and we also asked the GIC to keep AIOS in the loop to facilitate representation from the doctor side and from the professional association side. And so this is the process. And we also want to inform our members about this aspect. We see a lot of wrong billings or poor understanding maybe. And GIC or the insurance companies do have a mechanism, legal mechanism for blacklisting a provider or excluding a provider if there is a fraud. So we have to understand what is fraud. So there is I think this will not be a right forum to decide that, but there is a mechanism and that is available in the ABDM website, Ayushman Bharat website. So hospitals can go through that website and see what is the legal mechanism and what is the stage-wise mechanism for blacklisting the hospital. And it's also imperative that if there is a notice from the company or TPA, we need to respond within a time frame and explain our understanding, explain our standing with our documents. So it's important to prevent misunderstanding and inadvertent non-compliance. So ensure you follow good practices. And AIOS commits to promoting legally correct practices and will assist in closing some communication and education gaps, particularly with reference to issue of blacklisting and similar matters. So we have to understand ICs and TPAs are equal stakeholders. So when we respond, we need not be scared about this responding to insurance companies. We have to reply to them in a professional way and ensure that there is a proper document trail for all their emails and the responses. And in this regard, we also need to bring, so this has been a request that we bring in service standards for the insurance companies and TPAs. Of late, they are promoting service standards for the hospitals, but as a service industry, insurance companies and TPA also should have service standards. And it's imperative that we also rate the insurance companies. I think this will be addressed in the AIOS webpage also, where we can rate the the insurance companies as well as TPAs. And this will actually be a defense mechanism so that we'll know who are the companies which are regularly doing some malpractices or reductions or not paying the money in time due to the hospitals. And the fourth aspect is identification and verification of beneficiary at the hospital level. We all know that as small hospitals, we don't have the capacity to identify the insurance coverage of the patients. And I think this onus should be with the insurance companies or the TPAs and not be with the hospitals. And I think this has been now addressed. They have in principle accepted for bringing a fact sheet, one single page, which will have all these details. And I'm sure that will be a useful thing out of this. And one more discussion was on the addendums. Some of the TPAs are pushing for extension of agreements or rate lists through one single page addendum in our letterheads. So this again was placed in during the discussion, and we also forwarded all these mails to the general insurance companies. The GIC themselves agreed that these are certain bullying tactics followed by the TPAs, and a request for our members, and there was a template sent from AIOS, a mailer was sent, to not to sign the addendum agreement without discussions. So if you have any issue with TPAs or insurance companies and they ask you or pushing for any unilateral signing of documents, please do not sign. So see, go through the, discuss with your friends in your areas or in your state and see whether it is legally enforceable. So if it is legally enforceable, always have a discussion with the TPAs and then only sign. Otherwise, one single page agreement or addendum may not be signed. This has been accepted by the GIC. They also sent a word to all the TPAs not to enforce this. And the fifth point is the tariff nomenclature for cashless agreements. So these are certain technical issues where particularly in ophthalmology, there is an overlap of daycare procedures and OPD procedures. And we also have to understand these are certain OPD procedures and there are certain daycare procedures, and OPD procedures will not be given in the cashless, and the surgical procedures as daycare may go through reimbursement process or cashless. So we need to understand this. I think this is in the out of scope of our discussion today, but there is a clear need for our members to understand this to reduce the queries from the insurance companies. So these are the OPD procedures. I think this has already been circulated. The minutes, so this is available in the minutes circulated to all the members through AIOS. And so our members have to understand this classification. And this is the list of daycare procedures where all the TPS and insurance companies are in agreement. So daycare procedures, so cashless can be extended under the health coverage. And you also need to understand the L1, L2, L3, L4. So this is basically for the billing departments and the doctors to understand. L1 is the standard inclusion is the doctor fees, OT charges, anesthetic charges, drugs, all those things. Implant, the IOL or prosthesis, staplers, or in eye care, it is the glaucoma stents or the retinal, the buckles and the silicone oils. And there are certain special investigations that may be needed. And also L4 is the modalities of treatment, whether it is femto cataract or all those things. So we have to understand this harmonized tariff now. I'll skip this. And the fifth is the revising package rates and tariff. So we wanted the GIC to collaborate with AIOS for a scientific costing analysis to determine the fair package rates for ophthalmic procedures and address the issue of unreasonably low package rate. So this is one of the major issue in with the insurance companies. So we'll take up about this, but our advice to our members is don't sign MOU beyond 2 years. They are asking for perpetual agreements. So we need to have some clarity on this and ensure renew MOU with new packages and no addendum or arbitrary renewals without package revisions. So there are companies running without 6 years of renewals or 8 years of renewal. We have to ensure it is renewed on a timely basis. And whenever you discuss about package rates, you have to derive along with the providers and associations. In TNOA, we given a minimum package where the hospitals will stick to it and will not underquote. Similarly, the state associations can take up or the regional associations can take up and determine the basic package, viable and sustainable package for our members. And if they are giving that, please ensure that you follow that. Don't underquote and don't give arbitrary discount like 30% or 40%. So this will ensure our sustainability and also on the end it will be transparent. And so this is a warning from our costing accountant. So under absorption of costs, like most of our services, cataract is the main paying procedure. And if you cross-subsidize with other procedures, it can lead to a lot of financial strain. And if you continue to work below the cost, will slowly push the hospitals into cash flow crisis. And if the insurance companies don't pay on time, we'll go into a debt trap. So you have to understand this business aspect first and also understand the standard of care and quality of services at stake. Just because they pay low, we cannot provide less than optimal standard of care because a lot of medical legal issues are also coming up. And also never overwork and stress to compensate for the low packages. So we have to ensure we get the right package or the right cost for our services. So this is a warning and we have to ensure proper cash flow issues are there. And with more insurance penetration, it will be very difficult for us to compensate for non-insurance with the non-insurance patients. The seventh point is adopting and covering new procedures. I'm sure Hari will be discussing this about the refractive surgery part, which is now a issue. And so we discussed this, but there are certain limitations with bringing the advanced procedures and premium intraocular lenses and other medical technologies into the regular system. So we will continue to advocate for policy updates to include coverage for emerging medical products and procedures. And also the squint treatment, which is now under classified as congenital disease or cosmetic disease. So we'll continue to work on these refractive surgery and squint issues. And the eighth point is the role of third-party vendors in insurance. So many of the blacklisting has happened because of this issue. Some of our members have got into agreement with the third-party vendors to improve their insurance process or to reduce their hassles. But this has brought in a lot of complexity and our members got into trouble. And some of them have been blacklisted or delisted. And so you have to understand the business model. So this is as per our NMC norms and the present legal norms. So this is unconstitutional. That is the reason why many of the association issued this advisory not to get into tie-up with the third-party aggregators. And in spite of that, some of our members got into this. So if you're already in tie-up, please ensure you come out of this. A lot of issues are coming up, and a lot of court cases are taking up these issues. So ensure you are doing safe practice. And the ninth point was the grievance redressal. We wanted a third party high level grievance redressal for service providers. There is grievance redressal mechanism for patients in the form of ombudsman or IRDA. But unfortunately, for the providers who are the major arm of service provision in this insurance network, there is no proper redressal system. So we wanted to have a third party high level grievance redressal for service providers so that there will be timely renewal of MOUs, good packages, or the reimbursement system. Or if there is any one-sided blacklisting, there will be a grievance mechanism. So we will continue to work for this common redressal forum for service providers in association with the other providers. So these are some of the points we discussed, and in principle, some of them have been accepted. Some of them we have to continue to advocate in the policy level, as in the state as well as national level. And what could association do? So we also have to understand that association cannot firefight or do the troubleshooting for simple issues at the hospital level. So we association will work at the policy level and be the advocacy mechanism for fair insurance policies that will benefit patients and healthcare providers. We will continue to lobby for changes in the insurance regulations, improve the payment and reimbursement policies. And the AIOS will also provide education and training on certain billing issues which our members have not used to, and claim processing issues. So the role is basically there will be a lot of information sharing. If there are mailers from the AIOS or any state societies, ensure to go through these mailers, understand the best practices, and understand the solution to common problems. And it's also high time we get into standardization of billing and reimbursement process. And if there are any mediation requirement, please send those requirements to AIOS so that we can collect the data and represent that at the right forum. And we also need to improve the technology solution with the vendors. So these are some of the issues we have addressed through many other mechanisms like IMA or many other forums like IMA. IMA Hospital Board is also working on these issues. And so recently, AIOS and IMA had a detailed meeting on how we can address these issues, not only the insurance issue, but also certain legal issues. And hopefully we'll take up this initiative as a combined thing. So all stakeholders, let us be united. And at the local level, don't look your neighbor as competitor. So know the rate, but ensure you don't underquote, and let there be uniformity among us. Let us work for sustainable healthcare. And we also ensure insurance develop products and services beneficial to all stakeholders, to patient as well as small and medium hospitals. So with that, if there are any other issues, we'll discuss during the discussion session. So thank you for the opportunity, and over to you, Dr. Manoj.
So thank you, Dr. Nirmal sir, for that wonderful exposition. Like you enumerated all the things that we discussed and what are the next steps forward. And it is my honor to welcome Dr. Vinay Nandia as a special guest today on our program. I sent a faculty link to him because on his initiative in the first place that we tried to address the issue of PHS addendum. So I requested Dr. Nandia to be available as our faculty in our faculty panel today. I also see Dr. Srini Adkalon, who is also a member of our insurance TPA committee. He has logged in. Welcome, Srini. So Dr. Nirmal addressed the issue of a tab on the AIOS website. The tab is almost ready. Probably tomorrow I'll be having a final look at it, and with the minimal suggestions and requirements to be undertaken, the tab will be active in the next 2 to 3 days. What we are trying to do is I'm going to introduce a tab on our website homepage calling AIOS Grievance Corner. In that, you can report any grievance adverse effects. You can report insurance and TPA issues, any grievance with the trade, or any of the wings, the scientific committee, the ARC, the IJO, and this thing. That you just have to click the tab, report your grievance, and then upload relevant documents. Like as of now, we have not kept the option of anonymity in that because it is our members. Automatic email will be sent to the secretary AIOS and to the concerned chairman of the subcommittee, and we shall be trying to initiate some sort of an action on that representation for the members. At the same time, I would like to request all the members not to hesitate in filing your difficulties or complaints or grievances with the AIOS, because over a period of time, unless we have a set data, say in order to approach the IRDAI or the insurance company, the first question they will ask is how many of your members are affected. So if we have the relevant data on our website, we can say 30 of our members have been affected because of this deficiency in service from the insurance companies or TPS like that. It is very difficult to take up and one-off issue with these authorities. Instead, if we have a relevant data pooling with the AIOS will be in a better position to deal with such issues. So once this tab is uploaded on the website, Secretary AIOS will send an email to all the AIOS members, and I request all the AIOS members to utilize this facility. Whatever difficulty or issues that they are facing, they can get in touch with the AIOS, and the AIOS shall do its best to address such issues. And Dr. Nandya, the other panelists, if you have any queries.
I mean, there's a lot of good work that has gone in, and I want to thank all of you for having done this. One of the things that I think that you could take forward is that, when we are signing MOUs, the MOUs are very detailed. And while they say that we are in agreement with them, really, we don't have a choice when they send us an MOU. So likewise, when the negotiations, at least in our city, were taking place, the negotiations were around 250 rupees, That's the basis of the negotiations for what happened actually. So I think that what you will eventually have to do is that you will need to set up a system where, these are the rates actually. And that instead of leaving it to the regional societies where there are lots of difficulties and where we may not be really aware of what is going on and how to deal with them, AIOS will need to actually set the rates with the general insurance companies and talk to the IRDA about it actually. Otherwise, it's simply not going to work out because, for example, in Nagpur now, we have signed, an MOU for the next 2 years. Now, the inflation that is roughly about 14%. We've signed it for 2 years. And of course, when they come back, I'm sure that they will not increase it beyond 5%. Because when you start with a low rate like this, then this is how you actually function actually, because there are insurance companies that have not increased rates and not accepted new rate lists for the past 12 to 14 years actually. So I think that, somehow you will need to centralize all this actually, so that you have an MOU that you have created working with the IRDA, that this is a fair MOU that is to be signed actually. And so also with the rates and things like that. I think once that happens, then maybe there will be, a lot of ease in and stability in running insurance services.
May I speak now?
Yes, please do actually.
I'm very happy. Last time I couldn't attend the meeting, but now Nirmal sir has elaborately discussed these things, and I'm very happy that you have done a wonderful work. I don't have any point to raise in this. Everything is been covered in the last meeting and today itself. Wherever the questions come, as Dr. Nangya said correctly, who decides the rate list actually? We don't decide the rate list of Apple. We don't decide the rate list of anything in the market. The providers are not given a choice in ophthalmology or in a medical field. They impose their rate list on us. I am being not asked how much should be your charges. In fact, it is a generalized list is given, one thing. Second thing is that where are the services are given in advance and payment is given later on. For example, any Amazon or any airlines or any other thing, we have to pay in advance, and then they will give the services. Here the doctors are giving the services in advance, and then we are waiting for the charges to be collected. So why not to make that at least 50% charges should be given in advance? That is one thing. Second thing is that premiums are different for different things. Then why not there should be various slabs for the different cataract surgeries for different lenses and all those things. That should be raised. If the insurance companies are taking different premiums, so that they should allow the doctors also to take the different rates for the different packages.
That is there, Manoj Saswade sir, like it depends. Especially the rates that are limited for cataract surgeries, for example, they are dependent on the insurance the concerned person pays. Every insurance policy doesn't have the same rate thing. Like you are entitled to a better this thing, but in that also it all depends on the MOU that you sign up with the concerned TPA or the concerned insurance company through the TPA. That is the thing.
This is what happened. Why I raised this is since last 25 years in the practice, this was not there. They were agreeing to our rate list. This year itself, they have given with the capping. Maximum capping of cataract is 24,000 to 26. You have to do everything L1, L2, L3 into it. That is why the question has been raised. Till that time, they were giving different packages even for
the patient. Yes. Higher the premium, like many policies, they listed limited to say 10% of the insurance cover or 50,000, whichever is less, something like that. The capping depends on the premium the patient pays. And Dr. Nangia, he has raised a very valid point. I think I suggest to Dr. Nirmal that we shall definitely take up the issue of suggesting the minimum rates that is in the pipeline next. I think we will strive our best to take an appointment with the IRDI, and through IRDI, we approach the insurance companies and we get some directive on that front. We will certainly make a move forward on that aspect. Yes. I see Dr. Himanshu has joined now. So, Dr. Himanshu, do you have anything to say?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Very.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, Himanshu.
I'm so sorry. I'm in bad lighting area.
No problem.
The point is wonderful points being raised by all our colleagues. And thank you so much for having this.
Yeah. Any other comments from the panelists? Hari, you please note down the points that we need to take up.
There was something that I spoke to Dr. Nirmal over the phone a couple of weeks back, and I don't know whether maybe you can give a thought to it. The number of patients who are going to get insured is going to go up actually. And there's no stopping that actually. So probably, as has happened overseas, let's say that 10 years from now, we expect that maybe about, more than 50% of our patients will come through insurance. Even I'm saying in two-tier cities like Nagpur, which means that is going to play a very important role in capacity building of hospitals and, practices and institutes actually. And therefore, would AIS like to consider that they actually recommend to the state ophthalmic societies also to have an insurance group, just like you have at the level of AIOS, because this will lead to greater awareness, because there's a lot of knowledge building that's taking place. I've had the good fortune of connecting with Dr. Nirmal over the past several months. And his knowledge has gone to the next level in terms of, how do you deal with all these issues? And that knowledge really needs to spread across different states so that, each state society also will know that this needs to be done, and they will also be in a position to move rapidly and to resolve things at the state level, actually.
Sure, sir.
So, sir, Nangia sir has raised very valid points. See, whenever it happens, your members are list, then the rate lists are different. Now it has become vast. all over the India, number of insured people have been increased. And this is the worst part or irony is that the doctors' prices, instead of increasing, they are reducing by more than 50%. And no other field this is happening. Everywhere the prices have been increased, at least according to the inflation rate. And they agreed everywhere they are revising. Here they are imposing us to make the agreement for next 5 years with the same rate list. And that too and reduce rate list. That should be raised very everywhere. And I agree. I appeal or I request Dr. Nirmal Vedlik sir to impose them or force them to accept the Tamil Nadu Ophthalmological Society's rate list everywhere in the India.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Dharmesh, you can speak.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. What I wanted to say is that rather than fighting so many wolves around us in the forms of the insurance companies and TPA, can there be a mechanism where we can engage the IRDA and the AIOS, where the AIOS, forms a standard rate list, and then the IRDA just generates it that any insurance companies, they have to follow this fundamental minimum charges and not engage the doctor and bargain with them and break the rates and all those things. So if we can, if there is a one-to-one engagement between two higher bodies in the country, then all other things can fall in place. अभी क्या हो रहा है कि every individual doctor, bargains with the insurance company and the TPA and all that, then it becomes very murky and all those things. But if we have a standard organization like AIOS, which can engage directly with IRD and convince them that let us come to a standard rate list, and then that can be spread out with all the insurance companies. The protocol is managed.
That is our wish list, Dr. Dharmesh sir. We are wishing it that should happen, that they should ask our body, our rate list. Instead of that, no one is asking us. Even CGHS rates, they are so much pathetic. I always wonder who is making this rate list for the doctors or ophthalmologists. 40 rupees consulting fees, 300 rupees teresium. How it is possible and when it was made? So it should be a standardized that they should ask the AIOS or our main body, our relate list, and that should be bargained or that should be considered all over the country. That is a wish and that is not happening.
We have noted all the points that have arisen out of this discussion. We shall try to carry forwards on these suggestions, and we'll get back to you all once we take some positive steps forward. The appointment with an RIDI is in the pipeline. We shall certainly represent all these facts. I think with that, we will move on to the next presentation by Dr. Madan Gopalan. He in a very concise way is going to tell us about the problems that we face in health insurance claims and the difficulties that we face as providers and how ideal it should be solved. Over to you, Madan.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yes, Madan.
Yes, sir. So at the outset, I'd like to thank AIOS President, Secretary, and Treasurer, and our Insurance Committee Chairperson and our dynamic team for this opportunity. In fact, what I am going to speak as a service provider has already been covered in different fora and even just now by our different speakers. I would like to put it in a concise manner, in a very easy to understand way about the different problems that our service providers face. As was just mentioned, the relationship between the patient and hospital was pretty straightforward some time ago, but now it's complicated and it's become three-faceted, where the insurance company is also a party to this entire service provision. And if you notice, I put that the hospital is at the bottom. And this is not an oversight. This is intentional because, we often provide service. We almost always provide service on credit, and we are at the bottom of the food chain, and we're waiting for our reimbursement for the services that have already been provided. So it's a loop-sided system where we are often short-charged. So there are, different heads under which we can look at the problems that we face. I'll get into it one by one. So to begin with, in empanelment, as was discussed, we have to give multiple reminders to multiple people. It's a prolonged process. There's no time frame. Lots of middlemen involved, and even after getting, empaneled, we are, faced with one-sided addendums which come out of the blue. And as was just discussed, tariff and schedule of charges is more often than not very big thorn that has to be addressed. So what could be the solutions? So we'd like to have a unified portal where, every service provider with the basic requirements is automatically empaneled. And this empanelment process has to be time bound with transparency, ensuring that, the service providers and the insurance companies, TPAs, are all equal stakeholders. There's no, giving it and we have to take it. That system has to go out. Scientific costing analysis has to be done. We've already done it from the AIOS side and IMA side with reputed players, so that can be adapted as such. So scientific costing for long-term sustainability has to be essential, and as was just pointed out by our panelists, it will be good if AIOS can take this up and have a centralized system where the costing percolates to all our members. Next, once empaneled, pre-authorization is one place where almost all of us face problems because it's a very, very arbitrary authorization. And I speak for an eye care service provider where, almost all our procedures come under daycare, where what we're going to do is very, very clear, and the package rate is already agreed upon. So there is no need for a two-step process where an initial approval. Well, this can be understood when we talk about, general medicine or in a general surgical setup, where the patient may be admitted, he may undergo a surgery 4-5 days later, he may then be in the ICU for some more time because, there are a lot of dynamics, a lot of variables. So of course, it's understandable that there is an initial process, initial approval and a final approval. But here, it's just a matter of a few hours or sometimes even less than that. The patient needs to be admitted and discharged. So two-step process doesn't make sense. The regulator is really pushing cashless everywhere, but on the ground, we see that, the response is not very enthusiastic as far as the service, the insurance companies are concerned. We service providers and the patients have to go through a lot of hassles before getting this cashless everywhere done. And then there are a lot of medical queries which, really don't make sense many a time to me. And we are often pushed to do the insurance verification. We need to make sure that the patient has insurance or not, which is often very difficult on the ground. So what could be the possible solutions? As was discussed, a single authorization. There should be no later reductions. Very, very often, the trust deficit happens because we have already provided the service for a very, very low agreed tariff, but even that is not reimbursed long after the patient is gone. So we feel very, very short charged, and that should be eliminated. There should be no later reductions. And if possible, we'd like to have the contact details of the medical professional who's actually raising the questions. So one-on-one discussion could actually solve the problems and, make our stand very clear. Reimbursement has to stay because on the ground, when a patient presents to us, he is not aware of whether his son or daughter living elsewhere has a corporate policy. So care has to be given. We can't wait for somebody to confirm whether there is an insurance or not. So reimbursement, all said and done, has to stay. And copay and sublimits was again touched upon recently. One of the other problems with pre-authorization is that sublimit is not verified. Any limit is arbitrarily authorized. Pre-existing diseases are not checked. We've had instances where, diabetic vitrectomy was done, mentioning the pre-existing disease after authorizing. And finally, at the time of discharge, we get a reply saying that, patient has not mentioned diabetes. So these kind of things have to be looked into because the companies focus on what is called TAT or the turnaround time. As far as they are concerned, authorization was asked for and we've approved in 10 minutes. But that doesn't, hold any value if it's going to be backtracked, if people are going to flip back on that. And then again, there's mis-selling by agents on the ground level. So what are the solutions? We are providing service on trust, and that trust should not be broken. The authorization letter should have all the details mentioned in a clear language so that the patient can understand what his insurance company is giving him. There should be no later reductions. That single authorization letter should be honored by the insurance company. And whatever details that they communicate to us over email has to go to their client, because they are often in the dark about what their insurance is actually paying for their service. Coming to premium IOLs and new technology, again, initial approval is given. Finally, they backtrack. And off late, we see that there is an active discouragement of higher IOLs. Well, of course, it is understandable that they want to control costs and all that. But as medical professionals, it's legally and ethically wrong to withhold a particular treatment itself. We are being asked not to mention a particular treatment or a particular option to the patient, which is ethical. So that should not be the case. What are the solutions? Again, as service providers, we ask the insurance companies and TPS, do not communicate to us what you want. Please communicate it to your client. Let them be clear. So do not make us the problematic person there, because we are facing the patient in day-to-day practice. Declaration and copay has to be very clear. And as our convener Hari Krishnan sir says, registering refractive error at the time of issuing the policy would be a good way to go forward, so that there are no manipulations later on. Again, coming to claim closure, we often have reductions during the final authorization. And then there are words like, hospital discount, do not collect from the patient. All these make the patient and the hospital doctor relation, the relations soars after the service has been provided. There are reductions after the final authorization, and no reasons are mentioned whatsoever. So solutions, again, I keep coming back to this single point, which is a cause of trust deficit. No later reductions. Have a single authorization letter which gives all the details to the patient, so that the patient is clear about what he's getting into. And of course, from our side, we can also have certain billing protocols, so that our staff are very clear about the words that have to be used and in the manner that they have to be used. Because I'm sure as medical professionals, we have not been inducted into this process formally, like what is the meaning of an invoice, what are the heads that we can actually bill under. So these things have to be taught to our billing staff and to us also. So this can be an ongoing process, active engagement with our members, and that is where associations can actually step in. Aggregators and blacklisting, as Nirmal sir had just mentioned, there are many unauthorized players. They are dealing with diversion of patients. And there are a few insurance companies who actually blacklisted hospitals based on dealing with these aggregators. So what are the solutions? We need to have regulatory clarity. The insurance companies, TPS, they have to get together and make their stand clear that this is what our take is on aggregators. We can't have a situation where some players are completely against the insurance aggregators, and some players take an open stand where they leave it to the hospitals to decide. That may not be the best way to go forward. And we'll have to communicate with the providers in clear manner, and that's where again associations and societies can come in and help our members to ensure that we are always on the right side of practice, both ethically and legally. Finally, when it comes to grievance redressal, we always notice that there is a lack of response. The service is done and dusted, the patient is happy, but the service provider is again short-charged. Any grievance that we have, we are always, giving one-sided emails and volleys. There is minimal response apart from their turnaround time. There's minimal ownership from the other end. We often face automated replies. So what are the solutions? We need to have regular engagement. And as our secretary, treasurer sir was just mentioning, we need to have numbers. We need to have data on our side, and that's where all of us can get together and share our grievances on the AIOS portal. And this would help us to actually bring these numbers to the notice of the regulator. And it would help some insurance companies actually do this. They have a single point of contact for a particular city. So anything that is a problem on a day-to-day basis, we just pick up the phone and give this person a call. And many of these things are sorted. That can actually be implemented by all the insurance companies. Centrally, we could have a grievance redressal cell, which is, I think, in the works. And we need to have an ombudsman for the service provider, just like there is someone for the patients. So to conclude, insurance service, as Vinay sir was mentioning. In future, we are going to have more patients. It's become an essential service. But the base of this essential service is mutual trust between the service provider and the insurance company, which somehow is lacking for whatever reason. I mean, I'm sure they also have their own problems. If we sit across the table, the insurance companies will tell us their grievances, but it will come out only when there is regular liaison between the service providers, associations, and the insurance companies in a environment of mutual trust and understanding. We need to have our communication channels open so that it's not a one-sided volley where we only keep on talking about our problems and they only talk about reducing the tariff. So human interactions, I'm sure if we sit across the table with their personnel in a friendly manner, we should be able to address our grievances and come to offer better services to our patients, who are the ultimate beneficiaries in this entire process. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Madan, for that very concise but comprehensive, I should say, issues that you have enumerated and the possible solutions that are possible that should be taken up with the relevant authorities. So I just I have a personal doubt. Why is it always that a first approval is low? I have a feeling that probably that particular provider has an understanding with the TPA that their standard cataract rate is, say, for example, 32,000. And there is no, in the MOU, it is not mentioned that they have higher packages also. Is it so? That they give you
I don't think so, sir. This is the norm across the board.
and then subsequently they ask you to submit further thing before they approve a higher package.
Sir, it is always safer to have a lower initial approval and a higher final approval than having the other way around.
So can I just put in a little bit here? Actually, we've had this problem just like all of you, that why should, as Dr. Nirmal pointed out, and Dr. Mathur did, that initially when there's already an agreement and that the cataract packages are set, why would you do this? So there are several reasons for them, because the TPAs save money for themselves. The more money they save for the insurance company, there is a higher chance that they will get a renewal of their contract to serve a lot of patients, and they make more money every time they do this. So what happens is that because a patient has come for what he considers to be fully cashless, so let's say that if he wanted a surgery of whatever amount, 40,000, and he's only given 10,000, even if they get 40,000 later on, psychologically, you're pressurizing him not to go for a 40,000 cataract surgery. You're pressurizing him to go for a 25,000 cataract surgery, because he will not know. He's insecure about the amount of money that he's going to get. So every time the insurance company does this, they're putting the hospital on tenterhooks, and they're actually indirectly pressurizing the patient not to go for a package that they're entitled for based on the insurance policy, actually.
Yeah, I'll just add a second dimension to it, because whenever there is low package, the patient or the attendant is going to contact the front desk of the TPA. So now they come into direct contact. So there is a few things happening. If it is a corporate customer, they want to have the corporate customer. So they will increase the second approval and say that we have done our best. So they are in the good books of the corporate. And at least 30 to 40% of the people just accept what they give us initial approval and go through the process. So this is one way of saving money, as you rightly said, for the TPA and the ICs. The third aspect, very few fight, right? So if it is a retailer, they will tend to, they have some of the preferred providers. Star Health call them Pratham group, or many of these TPAs have some extra understanding or preferred providers, and they divert the patient there. So these are the three ways why they give the lowest initial approval, and then so it made us to fight on behalf of the patient.
And that's very correct. Every day we are facing the same problem, sir. But this is not a fair practice from their side. It's a little bit pressurizing or cheating the doctors. They are agreed to this package. This is a monofocally imported and they are agreed this tariff, or multifocal imported toric or whatever it is, or vitrectomy. Then they should straight away accept it. No, what is the point every day you are pressurizing me? Why you had made a MOU with me? Everything is known to these people, and unnecessary creating this time. That's why we are somewhere our powers are less. We are never. Dr. Frederick sir, Nirmal sir has rightly said that they try to pressurize because of you are not united, or very few raise the issues. We should write down that why you are raising these types of things or doing these types of practices. Particularly when why you don't collect it from the patient, where from the doctor will collect them? The questions are sometimes why you have put multifocal in this case. What is the indication for multifocal? These are the clinical things. They should not, whether you accept it or not accept. You deny it or don't accept as it is. But such types of questions, why I'm not there to answer this question to the common people or insurance people. My choice or patient choice are there clinically. There is no contraindication for multifocal. So I am putting it and patient is ready and suitable for multifocal. Why you are asking it? Already you have given the rate list. You have agreed to that. Now it is your duty to accept whether if it fits into your norms. Otherwise deny at the same time. And very valid point Dr. Madan Gopal has given here, single point communication. It is not always there. Every time you call, there is a different person and he always says that I am executive. I am from Bajaj Allianz, I am from Star, I am from MD India. But he never or hardly disclose his name. What is wrong in disclosing his name? I don't know. When we are asked to give every KYC of the hospital, Kundali is there, phone numbers, our PAN cards, Aadhaar cards, and hospitals, each and every detail is given. Then in that situation, why the TPS or insurance companies are not disclosing their people who are talking to us? That is also very important. We should know that single point communication. For example, if I am in Aurangabad or in Marathwada region, one person should be allotted that every communication should go to him. So there will be a very good streamlined approach and these problems can be solved.
So I think that, Manoj, these are things that some of them you've already taken up. Hopefully, I think that with all of you working, maybe that, these things will be resolved. Actually.
Yes. One more point was there, sir. This is a very recurrent and repeatedly coming pre-existing disease. Pre-existing doctor is not responsible for pre-existing. While you are taking the insurance itself, why you are not done the all thorough evaluation and enroll yourself? That time the people are enrolling the people or giving them the insurance coverage without checking or without health checkup. And now one fine day when he is in front of you, then they will deny and patient will keep on fighting with the doctor itself and asking him why you have mentioned diabetes, you don't mention diabetes. Then how will you treat it? Diabetic retinopathy or NAPDR, yes.
So let me add today's initiative. So I'm back from a meeting with the Patient Safety Association. So this is basically a consumer organization. So for 2 days, IMA Hospital Board of India and this Patient Safety Foundation of India had a deliberation about 3 of the important issues. So one of them was insurance. We discussed this issue about pre-existing coverage, and we wanted the consumer organization to take up this on behalf of the patients, and they accepted. And they'll be meeting the ministry. So this is the advocacy issue that is going on with the patient supporters, patient initiatives. Hopefully, if both of the doctors and the patient represent these issues, it will be taken up in a better way. And the companies will be left out with no other way of coming out of it. So we also have to enlist patients on our support. And this is where all this rating and review and feedback mechanism will help. And IMA and this patient safety has given now signed a declaration called Bangalore Declaration. that patient safety norms will be followed, universal health coverage, and the insurance practices will be optimized for the benefit of patients. In fact, most of our problems are patient related, not our only monetary related or practice related. So most of the issues, hassles we face are because of our patient-centric related. So it's high time the patient representative also take up this issue. So that will give us a lot of leverage, and we hope for better understanding from the insurance industry about this.
Time is there. I will just raise just bring to your notice that these insurance companies are making little bit false allegations. One of the companies has blacklisted our hospital, saying that you have collected 10,000 rupees from this patient, which was not supposed to take from you. And when we dig into the details, who was the patient, give the details of the patients, and let us know. We brought the patient in front of them and connected. Then they realized, no, we are sorry, it was some different hospital and that happened. By the time our hospital was depenalized, what to do?
So these are some legal issues. I think we also received a few such emails the AIOS committee has received. And so many of these issues are now cropping up. And hopefully when we get the data, we'll collectively take up all these issues. And if needed, some legal initiative also. Yes. And the my request to the hospitals and providers is to document these issues. So very often we just try to solve this over phone calls. If there is documentation on this, that TPA really made a mistake. So we can cite this case with IRDA and other regulators and try to know their service standard. This is what we are planning now. So bring in a set of service standard to the TPAs and insurance companies. If there is any deviation in the service standards, help keep them under notice. Like they are blacklisting hospitals because of certain deviation in the bills. Same way, if they are not settling the bills on time, not or giving such rash decisions like damaging the reputation of the hospital, if we have enough data and documentation on this, we can certainly scale up to the higher authorities and ensure that the TPAs are given a notice. And so because every 3 years they have to apply for license. So we still have a hold on their businesses, right? So if we have such documentation, it will really help. So this is where members have to write to the associations and see all these corrupt practices of the ICs and TPAs are also documented, and we can take it up higher.
I wish
Dr. Mathur, can I say a few things?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to interfere. 2 things that I would like to mention, very important, sir. First, we should have a great PR exercise. I've been maintaining that. We as doctors do a lot of charity. We do 1/3 plus practice free of charge. We do camps, we do everything. But the population at large does not know this. One of the things which we really need to do is get the sympathy of the public at large. This is something which is going to be a long-term PR exercise. Take my word, very important. At the same time, gradually release all those cases where these TPAs have taken us for granted and let it be circulated everywhere. This is something which can happen only and only if we do a very good PR. The media will be with us and we will be able to do something on that particular ground. It's very important that we concentrate on this. Second, sir, we should have a legal person. IRDA will not listen to us. Everything to be written the way it should be written legally tomorrow when we go to the court. And I'm very clear, all these things will not be settled on the negotiation table unless we go to the court. Unless we have good legal guidance, people will not listen to us, neither IRDA, none of these TPL. And this is going to be for your children and grandchildren. If I would like to make a strategy for our association, for our people in the long run, for our own survival, it is very important that we don't fight individually. We have to fight it at a national level. Understand the importance, give these TPAs a run for their money. They have done a pact with the patient. Why are we answerable? Imported, not imported, femto, not femto, using 300 rupees, 500 rupees. Are we those beggars? Are we thus so cheap? We have to fight basically for one basic purpose, that we must have whatever the patient and the insurance company has, let them pass 200 rupees for a cataract. Doesn't matter. Whatever else the patient spends, it is between me and the patient. This is something which we have to fight for and not and avail of our rights as a constitutional right. My point is PR to be done at a maximal level nationally. Second, we have to get on with the whole issue of legal. Third, leak to the press all the misdoings of the TPAs and please get patients to tell you what the TPAs are doing to them. How much stupid questions. How did you get a cataract? You had it from birth. How long have you had a cataract? Any simple question they'll keep asking and failing. Now, if our patients are with us, TPA will not be able to do anything. TPA is a menace to the patient and the doctors. I would like to conclude with this right now, just giving some basic input. The only way out would be a very aggressive way. That is what I believe. PR, getting the public with us, and a legal opinion, a legal person representing us everywhere. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Himanshu. With that, let us proceed to the next
May I
talk.
comment?
And I think it's 8:45. Proceed with the next talk. After that, we have 15 minutes for discussion. We'll discuss both the topics. Because I request Dr. Hari to proceed with his next topic of billing issues, especially concerning refractive surgeries.
So, yes, I think everybody can see the presentation, sir.
No. No, as of now, you just
Okay, just
share screen again.
Yeah. Yes, Hari. Please proceed.
So the topic of my presentation is ensuring legitimacy and accuracy in insurance billing for refractive surgeries. So this is becoming a need for the connected world, because nowadays a lot of documentation, everything is becoming more and more stricter. Now, how much compliance do you need to have a sustaining and long-term practice is nothing less than 100%, because any of these lack of compliance can be taken against you in a case of an eventuality. We are not talking about when everything goes good. We are talking about when even a single problem comes. Then if you, for example, if there is a case which went south and there was an issue, and that time maybe your registration certificate has just finished this validity, maybe a day or two, but still that becomes culpable. So those kind of issues always come up. Now here, so here we have recently faced these kind of issues with refractive surgeries in many cities. There are few TPS and insurance companies who are conducting this kind of exercise to audit the insurance, the refractive surgery equipments and machines available. So coming to the specific, we'll be talking specifically to refractive surgeries. Now, when you talk about healthcare delivery, there are two components to it. It's the healthcare professional and the healthcare delivery establishment, which is the hospital. So when these two things come together, that is when the healthcare delivery happens. Now, whenever we talk about registration, whenever we talk about empanelment, whenever we talk about billing, whenever we talk about Ayushman Bharat empanelment or ECHS or CGHS or even NABH inspections, NABH certifications, it's always for the healthcare delivery establishment, which is the hospital. The doctor, the healthcare professional has already been vetted, given a license to practice by the concerned council, and is legally allowed to practice. Now, a healthcare professional should have his registration qualifications, and a healthcare delivery establishment, which is the hospital, should have the local authority registration and compliances like pollution, fire, etc. So understand, according to the compliances that the space, the equipment, the healthcare delivery establishment will have a scope of services. That is, what all can that healthcare delivery establishment provide? What all the services it can give? So an eye hospital premises cannot give an orthopedic service or a gynecological services, because the hospital will not have the infrastructure to give it, and the registration and all the other compliances will be accordingly judged. Now, there is an added role of the hospital, that it is the financial entity. The hospital is the one that is routinely raising the invoices, and they are responsible in the insurance empanelments and credit billing. Now, remember that in India, as of now, we don't have an empanelment for the doctor. We only have the empanelment for the hospital. So in US, yes, there is on-panel doctors, on-network doctors, out-of-network doctors. But in India, as of now, the doctor is not in the ambit of empanelment. Just that the hospital is empaneled. Yes, they always ask for a list of doctors just to check whether there's a registered licensed doctors practicing. Other than that, if you look at any of the pre-authorization approvals or document, it always mentions that according to the patient's choice, the treatment can be rendered by any licensed practitioner with the due consent from the patient. So this is a clearly mentioned fact in most of the approval documents and even MOUs. So you should understand that the hospital is the one that undergoes insurance empanelment and credit billing and receives the money. And the hospital is supposed to pay the doctor in the due course as a consulting fees. Now, there's a problem that in our situation, if a patient comes to my hospital does not have a facility for certain service. For example, maybe LASIK or Smile, or my hospital does not have an examiner. My hospital does not have a VR setup. My hospital does not have a green laser. So the thing is, if I take the patient to another premise, if I take them to hospital ABC, which is maybe 500 meters from me, or maybe even the next door, but it has got a separate compliances, it has got separate identity. So that service has been delivered at that hospital. So now the problem that happens is, we normally have a common center where we are doing our refractive surgeries, and we take our patient there, we operate there, get the patient back to our own hospital and issue the bills from our hospital. So which is, according to the rules and regulations, it is an incorrect procedure. Now, this particular procedure is being termed as a malpractice by the insurance companies, and that's the reason there is a lot of audit and a lot of inspection which are going on in various cities as we are speaking. So recently, I think Bombay was started, Hyderabad also is in. So any hospital which does not have the facility for some service cannot raise the invoice for the service. Now, there was a question which was raised by some people that there are few hospitals, multi-specialty hospital, which does not have a CT scan machine. So they normally send them to a scanning center and bring the patient back. So, and after that, if there's a fracture, the patient undergoes a treatment in that surgery in that hospital. Now, this particular question I got, now when I found out around, so the idea is that this is also an incorrect procedure. The bill for the CT scan, which is done outside the premises, should be claimed separately and not in the cashless of the first hospital. But however, since it is just an investigation and majority of treatment is being taken place in the first hospital itself, so the insurance companies don't, they are not questioning it as of yet, but they have the wherewithal to question it anytime. Now, what are the legal and financial implications? So, first is the compliance with the local registration authorities and the responsibility and accountability. I'll give you a hypothetical, dystopian kind of a situation. So if I take a patient here in my hospital, I see the patient, I advise the patient for a refractive surgery, and I don't have an examiner. I take them to a center A where I undertake the surgery. And after that, I bring my patient back. I have raised the bills from my hospital and maybe as cashless or reimbursement, either ways. And the claim is uploaded, everything is done. Now, after 3 days, patient comes back with an infection, comes back with keratitis. And the patient decides to fix the responsibility on me and then file a case on me as a doctor. Now, which center do I blame? All the documents will mention my center, whereas the surgery happened at another center. So that time it's going to be a big mix-up. Now, this is one of medical responsibility and accountability. Second is about financial issues. The hospital which has not invested in the equipment, does not have the equipment, does not have the scope for the equipment, does not have the, you never know that the entire place, including fire NOC, all the documents that you have provided, does not mention one particular equipment, and you are billing for that equipment is incorrect in terms of the financial accuracies. Insurance companies are legally allowed to claim that money back. and it actually amounts to malpractice. So one of the burning issues is the common LASIK center. So a common center, what is the solution here? The common LASIK center, wherever the surgery is being done, is supposed to process the invoices. A separate empanelment for cashless for that center is always recommended, and the operating surgeon who got the patient has to be paid by that center and not by the insurance company directly, because the service is being rendered at that particular center. Now, there is a metropolitan city in India where recently one particular insurance company did an audit and came to realize that one particular center, which is running as a common center under the ownership of a corporate chain, didn't have even a single compliance, not even the Shop and Establishment Act registration. And they are running in that center. Now, when you look at the compliances, it is violation of all the compliances, but still doctors are doing the cases there. There was one particular doctor who was raising his LASIK bills from a bariatric center. That is the amount of blatant deviations that was seen. So the thing is, ideally, when you are operating at a center, that particular center where your treatment is being undertaken, that center is supposed to raise the invoice, whether for reimbursement, whether for cashless, whatever. And that center and the visiting surgeon can have an arrangement between them, however it is feasible, whichever arrangement. Now, here I had one few queries that what if the operating surgeon is the owner of that center? See, understand, the owner of the center doesn't matter in here because that's a separate financial entity, that's a separate registered entity, that's a separate hospital. So whether the owner is the same, whether you have an investment in the same, whether you are the person who is maintaining that, doesn't matter as long as both are geographically separate premises, which has got independent identity in terms of registration. You cannot, do surgery there and raise the bill here. And especially because in LASIK or a refractive surgery, what happens is majority of treatment is being undertaken at the common center. The hospital which is raising the bill is literally doing only a scan. In many cases, not even that. So what are the best practices for accurate billing is that ensure proper protocols, ensure treatments are provided at a registered location, accurate billing, and compliance in this case. So I don't want to waste much of time in this. Now, what is the role of insurance companies in this is that they are going to scrutinize. Interestingly, refractive surgery is not a very welcome deal for insurance companies. So what is happening is insurance works on the concept of indemnity, that how likely and indemnity and risk, that is, how likely is this particular person in the risk of having an event in the sense an expense in terms of healthcare. A young patient, 20, 25 years old patient, does not have a risk of getting a healthcare need when compared to a 60, 70-year-old person. So the premiums for a younger person is lesser, a premium for an older person is higher. So at a lower premium, these younger people are getting the refractive surgery done, putting claims for huge amounts, which is actually against the business principles of insurance companies. See, thing is, the idea is that let them, if you want to cover refractive, please correct higher premiums or you exclude it, whichever way, but don't penalize the hospital. Yes, that is correct. But however, they are legally allowed to inspect your scope of services. Just like a normal NABH certification or an inspection, however it goes, you define your scope of services, what you can do at the premises, what you cannot do at the premises, and accordingly, you should be performing your surgeries and doing the billings. So as a health professional, we should be informed about these responsibilities. We should be very clear that when you shift patient for a treatment elsewhere, we should be doing the billing from that place. And for hospitals, they should maintain accurate records. There are cases where in common centers, a patient has been operated and after it has happened in my own case also once, that after a year or so, when there's an inquiry or a query that comes, then you tend to not find the documents, not find the data. So this is also an issue. And running common centers without the compliances of local authorities is also a violation of rules.
Hari, excellent presentation. Point is this on behalf of TPA that you're talking? As far as I'm concerned, what I would understand is very clear and simple that we have to have everybody, whenever there is a medical legal case, God forbid, automatically there is a case against the doctor, the hospital, and for whoever else is concerned. So it's always like that. Even if I'm operating a charitable hospital, it is against the doctor and the charitable hospital.
Yes.
So all these centers which are doing it have to have recognition. And
So,
our people know.
Himachal, let me interrupt there. Let me interrupt there.
Yes,
So,
yes.
now, I am running a common center. I'm a businessman. I'm not a doctor. Just for the discussion. So,
Yes.
there is a patient. You don't have a excimer laser. You have a patient in your hospital who requires a PRK. You get that patient to my place, and you use the PRK machine. You go back. You raise an invoice from your hospital, and 3 days later, there's an infection that comes to the patient. The patient has filed a case. You will say, yes, that hospital is responsible, not mine. I will say, I don't know this patient. The patient has got a discharge summary from your hospital. The patient has got a bill from your hospital. Patient has got all the claims being processed by your hospital. My hospital, my center, which runs it, maybe I didn't even clean the OT for last 1 month. Maybe that I'm nowhere to be seen there on the document. So this is not only, I'm not talking on behalf of the insurance companies. I'm not talking on behalf of the TPS. I'm talking to you as how are you legally correct or not? This is
You are
applicable.
absolutely wrong.
Wait, sir. This is applicable.
In the court of law, if you have no documentation from the hospital, you are totally wrong. There is no exception. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. The law will say that
the idea is that wherever the treatment is being done, that's the place where the invoice and bills has to be raised. That's it. That's the summary of this entire talk.
Yes, absolutely correct. That's it.
If you are taking your patient to some other place to operate, you raise an invoice from there, not from your hospital.
As far as the legal things are concerned, it is not only the bills and operating surgeon. The consent, who has taken the consent, is more important. Hospital, if I am a businessman, the consent is not given to businessman.
Yes, the consent is
given the consent to the doctor. So doctor is always responsible.
Sir, doctor is responsible, but added to that, doctor is responsible. The doctor is the same. So here
Hari,
yes,
Hari, point is everywhere poor doctor is only answerable to the team, to the media, to the court, to the lawyer. Only one person takes full responsibility, however dirty a case is. And yet we are not fighting our fundamental right of that we should charge what we want to charge. So,
sir, charge what you want to charge. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying. My only contention is that whatever, see, if an OCT, we have an OCT machine visiting our center. Okay. Now the OCT is done at our premises. We have the wherewithal to do it. We have an MOA with that person. I can bill that procedure from my premises. But if I'm sending a patient to some other place to do an OCT, I cannot give a bill for that OCT from my premises.
And we should have an MOU of outsourcing towards that premises. So if you are doing a LASIK in another center, it's always better to have a legal MOU that you are outsourcing.
Even if you have a legal MOU, even if you have a legal MOU with the center, which is
billing cannot be done.
The billing cannot
be done from our hospital. Billing cannot be done from our hospital because neither the patient was admitted in our hospital, neither was the consent taken from our hospital, neither we have the machines to operate on the hospital. So that is on a very, immediately one can see that these things are not available to us. So wherever the procedure has been carried out, naturally the center has to bill the patient, and technically we are only supposed to get the surgeon's fee. So we should not be making an invoice from our hospital because that is actually illegal, and we can run into some huge trouble if we are doing the practice on that. I think the most important part here is that we have a MOU with the LASIK center that we are going to do this, and whether you want to mention the charges that you are going to get, that's fine. If you don't mention the charges, MOU with the LASIK center, exonerates you from doing the surgery over there, and bill the patient from that this thing. And there are, see, I tell you, I do my LASIK at my common center, right? And I charge more than the common center. The charges of the common center are, say, suppose 30,000 for normal this thing LASIK. I charge 40,000. I tell the patient, see, the charges are 30,000, but if you want to get operated by me, I charge 40,000, and then that excess money has been transferred to my account but the billing is done from the center itself.
What
Sir,
is
here,
it? What?
here the
Sir,
contention is that,
yeah.
sir. What has happened is recently one of the hospital got a 14 lakhs of recovery notice. Another hospital got a 11 lakhs of recovery notice.
What Dr. Hari is pointing out is there are some common centers which are not having compliances and licenses to run the center, and they are not capable of raising the bills. So the doctors are raising the bills from their hospital, and when the insurance person team comes to inspect, there is no facility to provide that services. So I think that is the contention here, right, sir?
Yeah, I think it's off late. This has been happening because of the few notices received from the insurance companies and TPS. So we have to get the basics right here. So in NABH standard, one of the first standard is the hospital has to define its scope of services. The scope is defined by the resources the hospital has. The resources, I mean, the infrastructure, including the space and machinery, the manpower, which is credentialed and privileged to provide that services, and in case there is an emergency while providing that services, whether the hospital is capable of providing that emergency services, which means hospital has to have in its scope of services the outpatient, inpatient, and emergency services. So if you are providing that, so that hospital will be given that scope of services. So insurance companies are fixing this very basic legal issue and trying to see where it is fit. And all these legal licenses are location specific. As per the statutory requirements, they are location specific. Suppose I have 2 centers. If I have all these requirements in only one center, I can only provide service from that center and provide billing from that address. If you are just operating, but providing billing from another place, so that is illegal, because 2 reasons. One, you neither have the scope nor the capacity to bill, and many of these common centers lack that infrastructure and licenses. That is the reason these cases have come. So basically, I asked Hari to take up this issue because to clarify to our members not to get into such billing issues. So it is a very basic legal requirement that you can provide service only if you have that scope of services in your place. Not that you can't provide the surgery, not do LASIK. So you can always do LASIK in a common center, but ensure that common center has the statutory requirement and billing is raised from there. You get the surgeon fee or whatever your fees is from that common center. So this is also satisfy the income tax norms. Why income tax norms is where the source, when they check the financial trial from the patient will be paying in your center and you will be giving the bill, right? So when they check that financial trial, particularly from common centers where so much billings are raised and some of them out of the financial trial given as cash, right? So there is always a gap in the financial tail. So the companies also, as per GST norms, they are not able to fulfill the norms for billing. And that is the reason of late we are getting these notices. So our people have to understand these nuances and raise the bill accordingly, and also have documentation so that the medical legal point of view is clear and we are on the right side. And nowadays, in NABH scope of services certificate, we also mention this. If a particular center asks for refractive services and they don't have this machine, we say excluding LASIK or excluding femto. So refractive services in the scope of services excluding femto and LASIK. So which means it's very clear that the hospital can only provide this scope of service.
Yes, may I speak? Right now you are discussed about the center where you are taking the common center, taking the services. There is other part, like myself, I am a solo practitioner, and you are raised the very right issue of taxation. People are paying me 20,000 for the surgery and taking the bill for 60,000 rupees, 50,000 from my hospital, and I am legally paying 52% tax to the government. So always it is in a loss business. That is also to be taken into consideration. Those who are giving such bills to the individual doctors or the patients who are coming to your individual centers and operating at, and you are helping them to do the services as a fraternity. But the taxation part should be remembered. How much tax you are paying? It is always above the 30%.
So it's a financial risk for you, Manoj.
Yeah, it is always there.
You have to review your financial risk.
Yes, we have to. Yes.
Sir, recently one one incident of an eye hospital. One particular eye hospital used to process the claims for another eye hospital. So the eye hospital A used to process the claim for eye hospital B. They were friends. So they had posted a case, took the pre-auth, and the eye hospital A, they took the pre-auth, made the discharge, put the lens sticker, some sticker, and they put the claim and sent the claim document. 2 days later, they come to know that the patient was not operated in B at all. The surgery got cancelled. It went on smooth. After 3 months, that patient visited a third hospital for his cataract surgery. And that time, this entire gamut came to out. Then investigation, letters. See, the thing is, when you, as long, the moment, you have to maintain that correctness of building, correctness of your responsibilities, infrastructure, everything.
But
I have one question. May I ask?
yes, sure.
Yeah, sir, in such common LASIK setups, isn't reimbursement a better option than cashless?
Yes.
Reimbursement can be done. Reimbursement can be done only if they have got statutory licenses to provide the bill.
And if they are
But they need not be empaneled with the insurance company.
That's okay. That's
not necessarily. So if they have the licenses to operate, they can issue the bill, the full bill in the name of the patient, and patient can go for reimbursement, provided they satisfy the norms. At present, I think -6 is the limit for refractive surgery, and also additional whether they are a premium policy holder, those kind of things. And one more request is, do not enhance the power just to help the patient. So this is one of the common cause of blacklisting or delisting. I had the opportunity to see the list of hospitals and why they've been listed, right? So many of them fudging of data and document change after giving the prescription. So this is like accepting our mistakes, right? So you give one prescription to the patient, and for the sake of insurance, you are giving a higher power or correct the old power and give. So patient, by the time they given that request for reimbursement with the old prescription. So these are things we create a trail, a wrong trail on this. So these are practices that has to be stopped.
Yes.
Nowadays patient has that his prescription data on the Lenskart app and all. So it is always, there is data. So recently in Hyderabad, one particular hospital was the 7-year-old refractive surgery data was taken out, and then the claim rejected and recovered.
But unethical practice then has to be punished. I mean, you have to be ready for such type of actions against you if you are into unethical practice, and that nobody can condone that part.
But here what's happening is a lot of people contacted saying that we were not aware that we cannot issue bills from a common center. So that's the idea of this, having this small topic in this webinar, that just to make people aware that it is incorrect to do it. People were not aware that it is not to be done.
Yeah. So any questions from the audience? Can you check the other portals or?
I was going to speak in the previous talk. What we must do is now, as a group that we have developed for insurance, is to try to inspire and engage all the state organizations to, form such groups, come up with a type of protocol where they have to engage with the insurance company, so that sometimes what happens if the individual doctors also approach the state association and the state association approaches the national association, then there will be streamlining of data and easy on the action that can be taken or whatever principles that we want to follow. That one thing, and we should be actively trying to inspire every associations to have at least one talk on insurance in whatever CME that they have or whatever conferences they have, so that the importance of insurance and cashless then percolates down to the last man, and thereby we can get more amount of data where we can come up with good rules and regulations to be suggested elsewhere.
Yeah, good suggestion, Dr. Dharmesh. I think Manoj sir can maybe write to all the state associations. In Tamil Nadu, we already have an insurance committee which has been doing a wonderful job. And we have all the, including Hari in the committee as an advisor. And we have some of the representative from the legal side. We have a lawyer, we have a representative from the IMA, hospital board, and many of our senior practitioners. It is headed by a former president of TNOA, Dr. Panneerselvan, and Madan is the convener. So we have collected data, we have collected, we have set the lowest price which they can quote, the optimal price. And third, we have given memorandum to the insurance companies and TPAs. And we also had a meeting, 3 meetings of all the stakeholders, the NGO hospitals, major hospitals, and representatives from the chains and the private practitioners. All of this have brought the issue to the forefront. But as you all know, this is a national issue. So state associations can really help build the consensus, bring people together, and also apprise their members of the good practices as well as the bad practices, what we are discussing now. And so these are things that state associations can do. And I think Dr. Mathur can initiate this and ensure that state associations have the committee. And I think Maharashtra has one.
Yes,
Dr. Vinay, we had a meeting at, and similarly in UP also. And now it is becoming a common issue. So all the state association has to take up this issue. And AIOS provide the guidelines and whatever support we can provide. And on the policy front, AIOS has already taken 3 important legal cases with huge expenditure. I think members have to be aware of this, what AIOS is doing on the policy aspect. Manoj sir, can you advise on this 2-3 cases?
Yes, in the first case, basically what is presently in the Supreme Court is like recently the Supreme Court made an observation regarding that veterans case that if you don't notify standardized rates through the respective states all over the country, we will implement the CGHS rates. And they specifically took an example of how cataract surgery range from 10,000 to 1,20,000. So from AIOS, we thought that it fit to immediately implead in that petition and to explain to the courts as to why there is such a wide range for this cataract surgery specifically. But the legal opinion was, if you just implead in that case, they may give you a few minutes to explain your stance and be done with it. Unless you file your independent petition challenging that clinical establishment rule 9, then only the court will hear you on a wider basis and give you adequate time. We'll listen to your advocate. So we decided to go heads on this. We appointed Advocate Mukul Rohtagi, who was ex-Attorney General of India, so that we wanted to forcefully present this case. And that case, based on that, like the next date of hearing is 7th September. And we hope to make good progress in that case, explain to the court as to why there is a range, why a uniform rate can't be fixed, especially for cataract surgery, depending on the capital cost that is involved from place to place, the variability of intraocular lens costing, and so many factors. A rate can't be the same in New Delhi and Mumbai, and that rate can't be the same in Aurangabad or, say, for example, Guntur or Nellore in Andhra Pradesh. So that is the precise point that we are taking in that case. The second case is concerning the B scan. That is, even our A scan machines were sought to be put under that clause of registration for PCPND registration. So that basically was taken up initially by the Pune Ophthalmological Society, and that case is pending in the Mumbai High Court. So in Delhi, they decided to shift this the case to the Mumbai High Court, and as and when they take up that case will be taken up. As of now, that case is on the back burner. The third case is what we discussed with the IMA also the other day. DOS had filed a case about the empanelment process. They said that every hospital or its provider who is recognized by the relevant district or the state authority, they are having a clinical registration number, they should be recognized automatically by the insurance companies and the TPAs. So that a favorable decision was given by the Delhi High Court. In that, AIOS had implemented, and now immediately that insurance companies and the TPS, they went to the Supreme Court and obtained a stay, and there lies the matter. So now it is up to us. We are in consultation with the IMA. The other day we had an online meeting, and I suggested to the IMA that since we are taking care by involving a huge expenditure in the clinical establishment case in the Supreme Court, why don't you sponsor and take up this issue of the empanelment process? And AIOS, naturally, we are implicated already in that case. So that thing is going on, but the current thing, as Dr. Nirmal said, like a common portal empanelment, if we achieve that thing through the insurance committee and the TPA, like there is just one process, like apart from you being recognized by the concerned district or the state authority as a recognized service provider, it is I feel fair and just that you insert your credentials on a single portal, and once you are recognized and in that single panel empanelment, all the insurance companies and TPS do take cognizance of that fact and recognize you automatically. So these are the three legal issues that are pending, and we have constituted a legal cell in AIOS under the chairmanship of Mr. Dr. Mahipal Sachdev, and we are also looking into these issues simultaneously.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for updating us on the legal cases. And happy that AIOS is spending a lot of money on this and taking up this initiative. You know, the court cases can drag on for years, and hopefully we get positive results and outcomes out of this.
Yes, regarding this money only, I just wanted to know whether AIOS has kept specific funds for these legal actions. Otherwise, the funds are going everywhere and main issues remain same, persistent.
So we propose a budget for the same, and like this is as we had to take up this issue as a priority. So from the general fund of AIOS only we have initiated this process as an experience. Probably we will get this decision ratified in the next general body.
Good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is a need of the time.
Because so much war is being fought in the WhatsApp groups. And we as office bearers, we can't comment in the WhatsApp groups. And so we just take cognizance of the discussions in the so many WhatsApp groups, and then we try to do our best from the state society, from the AIOS.
That Hari will take care. Hari Krishna will take care of the WhatsApp warriors. So we will do our work.
Sir, can the AIOS send a directive to all the state associations to form an insurance committee as urgently as possible, so that the whole process becomes faster and the interactions and people getting into the whole discussion becomes larger, so that the insurance company and IRD also takes cognizance of our problems? Because rather than just fighting at a local level or even the AIOS with smaller group of people, if there is a backlash from lots of associations and the suggestions coming from all the members, maybe the actual bodies which govern these rules will take into cognizance the problems, and they will be giving attention and acting faster. So
That's
if
a
the
very
AIOS can
it has
send
to
a
be a
directive,
two-way.
yeah, the AI should send a directive to all the associations to urgently form a insurance committee meeting and give the feedback and all the whole force of all information and complaints and whatever suggestions reaches the IRDA, and they then understand, no, then this is actually the fire going on among the associations, and that's why they have to take action rather than dilly-dallying, yeah, hum kar rahe, 2 mahine mein hoga, 3 mahine mein hoga. They will actually take action.
Yes.
That's a very good suggestion that I'm going to propose in the next governing council or straight away in the OBSC, saying that respective states should form their own insurance committees, and probably the chairman and convener of those committees can be co-opted to the AIOS insurance TPA committee, so that we have
Exactly.
a wider. The most important thing is, like, if we send a communication from AIOS, the opening rate, I'm sorry to say, is about 8 to 12%. So what I anticipate is, like, if I send a communication from AIOS, if the respective state societies can forward that communication to their respective state society
Exactly.
members, there I am told the state society opening rate is about 30%. So probably we will be reaching more members through the state society rather than sending a direct mail from the AIOS, which I am sorry to say,
Yeah,
every day
whatever mechanism where we can actually
have got
include.
tired of seeing AIOS mails.
Yeah.
So,
So if you directly ask the state this associations, the wheel will start rolling, and gradually it has to reach all other members. So probably, yeah, whatever mechanism you find fit will be good for all of us. If you just send the message that नहीं, आप 1 महीने में 2 महीने में एक insurance committee बना दीजिए, let us have some discussion, So everybody will get serious. Everybody knows this is the main issue of all the small hospitals, losing business to bigger corporate hospitals, and the unethical approach of the insurance company, not helping the financials of the small hospitals. So once you send an official message to all the state association, everybody, I assure you from my point of view, everybody is still waiting that somebody कोई आगे आ जाए और हम साथ में आ जाए, The people are not taking the initiative. एक बार हम initiative लेंगे, ये नहीं आप बना लो, हम लोग साथ में हैं, and then see the response you get.
That's a very good suggestion, sir. We will certainly do our best to do that.
I think
Yeah,
it should also be other way around, that people who have been affected by the issue, asking their state representative to do something about it. So rather than AIOS will be giving a directive, but
So
if the
once-
members reach out to the state society or the
Yeah.
local society, form a group and make it functional and active, then it becomes
but
easier for
Yeah,
the
but what problem क्या होता है?
AIOS.
Problem क्या होता है, sir? As an individual doctor, I don't know whom to talk with the state association. Even if I talk with the
No,
president,
you are
he
all
doesn't know
members
what
of
to
the
do.
state society. You
So
know the
if
local
the
state society
association,
very well.
Simply said,
yeah,
every state society's annual conference will have something called as a general body meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, but if
Go
you have
there,
a specific
raise
committee
your
for
hand.
that, ना, if somebody knows कि ये insurance committee है, इसके साथ हम लोग engage कर सकते हैं, and then everybody will be eager to share their problems. Otherwise, sometimes it looks foolish in the GBM talking our own problems, and people tend to laugh. There's so much politics also going on. So we have to be practical, and whatever happens in the GBM, everybody knows.
Right. So I think all hospital owners are grown-up professionals and they know their responsibilities and where to reach out for help as well as work for advocacy. Your point is well taken. I think Manoj sir will do from his level from the AIOS. But from the state societies, I think the members also reach out to the local associations and ensure the association take interest and represented in the general body, discuss and form the committees and take up this issue on an active basis. If there are no other questions, Manoj sir, can we conclude? It's 9:30
Yes,
already.
Yes, sir. We have already exceeded by 15 minutes. So
yes,
I think we had a wonderful discussion about all the three relevant topics of the day that concern us. And on behalf of the AIOS headquarters, it is my pleasant duty to thank the chairpersons for the day, Dr. Nirmal Frederick and Dr. Himanshu Mehta, thank you, Hari, for co-moderating along with me. And all the three speakers, Dr. Nirmal Frederick, Dr. Madan Gopalan, and Dr. Hari Krishnan, for their wonderful presentations, which elicited a good discussion on the points. The points arising have been noted down, and whatever best we can do to take the issues forward, we shall be doing it. And talks are already on. We are already discussing among the committee that we should take an appointment with IRDAI and put up our relevant proposals, and a select team of our insurance committee can personally visit the headquarters in Hyderabad and then try to sort out the issues with them. And last but not the least, my sincere thanks to the insurance TPA committee members who officially confirmed their participation and logged in. Dr. Manoj Saswade, Dr. Viral Shah, Dr. Dharmesh Guptani, Dr. Shweta Bhal Singh, and also Dr. AIOS Singhal and Dr. Srini Edkalon also logged in. And my special thanks to our guest panelist for the day, Dr. Vinay Nanja, for taking his time out and contributing to the deliberations today. So thank you all.
Thank you,
shall
sir.
meet
Thank you.
again.
Thank you all on behalf of
Concerning
sir.
Yes.
I thank you all basically from myself as well as from all members of AIOS. We really bank on you. You are the apex body and you are stalwarts and experts like Nirmal Frederick sir and Venu Gopalan sir and Madan Mohan sir and Hari Krishnan and so many people who are already expert in this field. And we know that instead of having stated that that is a process, it will keep on going on. But our issues and are common everywhere in the nationwide, and our points should win on the merit basis in the court of law, not on the point of how many people are involved and how many states are involved. So we wish you the very good, and I always congratulate you for raising this issue, which I was facing day by day, every day. There is some hassle with the insurance companies, and we now hope that you will sort out of this problems, and it will be a good streamlined process henceforth. Thank you very much for bringing out this burning issue.
Thank you very much.
And special thanks to Dr. Mathur for taking the initiative and doing all the groundwork. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.